Thank you. Thank you, recording in progress, lady. I love it when you say that. I am Oakwalker, and this is Stronghorse to my that way, whatever that way is for you. And we are here with Earth Medicine for the Soul, the podcast on topics of universal shamanic importance. And so we were hotly discussing the topic of deconstruction in the last episode when we left off. And I think I kind of want to pick it up from there because there's a few caveats to the idea of deconstruction that I would like to cover. So here goes. We will talk about, just to catch you up, the idea of deconstruction is moving through our own internal processes to bring down into a level of understanding of our core values and where those have been generated from. Because we live in a colonialist culture that has a lot of mythological history attached to it. Therefore, we have core values that are basically related to stories that aren't necessarily true or real. For example, the Cowboys and Indians story. The cowboys in our own written history have always been the heroes, the pioneers, braving the elements to go forth and settle a new land which needed to be settled because God said so, and because the lifestyle of Christian white male was far superior to anything anyone else could have possibly had going on the plains and prairies of North America. Well, this is absolutely not true. And it turns out that a lot of the core values of those indigenous people are far more conducive to toning ourselves with the authenticity of our soul than some of the Christian beliefs are. Therefore, when I talk about deconstruction, what I'm really talking about is winnowing out the bad, the chaff of our history and our concepts of ourselves, and getting back down to that soul level truth of what our authenticity is. Having said that, it's important that when I use an example such as deconstructing yourself from Christianity, that doesn't mean that I'm telling you not to be a Christian. I adore quite a few Christians who are authentic in their spiritual relationship with their creator and with, in their case, their savior as they move forward through their soul's growth. There's nothing wrong with being a Christian, but there's a lot wrong with being a bigot and using Christianity as your bigot crutch, if you know what I mean, as your stick that you use to oppress and commit crimes against humanity on other peoples, such as genocide, like happened here in the United States. By the same token, there are a lot of myths of our history as people who are come from a European background that don't necessarily have to be completely undone just because Europeans were the big colonialists or the colonizers. What I am talking about when I talk about deconstruction is a way of freeing ourselves from the limiting beliefs of certain mythologies that are simply put in place there to hold the narrative of a non-functional cultural venue or milieu. Have I stopped making sense yet, or am I going along fine?
Well, let me jump in here for a second. The one thing that I want to add as a qualification here is this. Um, it's really easy to point fingers at the colonists and the genocide and all these things, all this ugly history we have, and it's all true, But I think that I think at this point in time, and for the evolution of mankind, is that we have to come to a point of forgiveness, in order to be able to clear the slate, in order to move into new patterns and new dimensions. And, if we get caught up in guilt, blame, and shame, the number of people that invested so much of their lives in trying to right ancient wrongs is just insane. The Jews and the Arabs. What are you trying to resolve? That was yesterday. You know what?
Well, I,
You
I,
talk to every one of them. They're like, "Yeah, they've been doing this for years." Okay, well, yeah, okay, all right.
I
Now, what
think
about tomorrow?
I think in our own way, we're trying to say the same thing. When I say I'm using these things as an example, that doesn't mean that I'm telling you that all colonization is bad, or all of this is bad, or all of any one thing is bad, right? There's beauty. We still get to keep what's beautiful. I think you're right about forgiving ourselves, and I think you're right about coming to an overriding sense of forgiveness, and that is where restitution is going to have to occur. That's a process. Part of the process of deconstructing is going to be making restitution, and that means forgiving each other. That is going to be a necessary piece of that. I completely agree
Yeah,
with you.
I think it's important that we establish building blocks. Um, you know, to be able to stand upon in order to be able to move into the future with a fresh outlook and a fresh a new appearance. I'm sitting there thinking while you were talking, I was sitting there thinking about myself, and I thought that there's no way under God's green earth that I could take my personal history and show it as a great example of how to move into your divine self.
Well,
you
yeah,
know,
that's true of
I
me
mean, it,
too. But the
yeah,
fact
it'd
that
just be
it
like,
happened.
there's this is really not the resume we were looking for.
No, exactly.
you know, so I have to take that on a daily basis. It's like, all right, yeah, that was then. This is now. What
Hmm.
about tomorrow? I'm at the age where tomorrow's a lot more important to me than yesterday anyway.
Hmm.
Particularly if it arrives.
Yeah.
So, I just think that it's real easy to fall in the trap of we've been persecuted all our lives, and it's these people's fault and those people's fault, and on and on and on. And that's not deconstruction. You're that's a trap, man. You're get
Yeah.
caught up in that, in a deconstruction of something that you're never going to change. You're never going to solve that problem. The only thing you could deconstruct is a belief system that keeps pulling you down into your shadow.
Well, that's what we're talking
That's
about.
really the yeah, I know you are, and I'm putting a different spin on it so that I'm not casting guilt, blame, and shame of what you're saying. I'm trying to say that there's too many people that are too involved in pointing their finger into past history and using that as a platform to promote themselves.
Uh-huh.
And it's just not working, and it'll never
No,
work.
it isn't.
And so it's just really important that people start realizing that it's been a mess. The whole thing's been a mess.
Hmm.
No, it has. There's
Hmm.
no argument there. And because we live in so many different lives, we've all been part of that mess.
Yeah.
we've been on both sides of the fence
Yeah.
through every aspect of it, man.
Yeah.
And so, we can't sit here and say, point your finger, because that the thing you're pointing your finger at could have been you. You know.
Yeah. I heard somebody once
So go ahead.
I heard somebody once channel in the suggestion that a lot of those Union soldiers that did this genocide had to come back as Indians this time so
Oh,
they
I've
would
heard that
know what
a
they did,
lot.
right?
Yeah, and the traditional Indian don't want to hear that at
No,
all.
no,
No,
yeah.
no. Yeah, karma's real. It's real. You
So
know. Yeah. Go ahead.
so there's this humongous shift in consciousness coming, and the road through it is this thing that we're calling deconstruction. You, you, we have two, the road is diverging, right? And you can continue with your delusion and hold tight to your traditions that, are all about warring and the dark side of humanity, or you can undertake the road less traveled and and begin that deconstruction process, the uh, self-affirming and self reflective path that it's going to take for us to get back to being a being one with everything, being a part of all that is, being relatives to all of the other beings on the planet and in the universe for that matter. I
Yeah,
think
I
that's where
totally
we're
agree
at.
with that. I think a lot of what we're seeing when we turn on the news or check into you know the latest greatest stories, it's all about these people that are trying to hold on to the past.
Yeah.
They even want to bring the past back up.
Uh-huh.
And they're just terrified of letting go.
Yeah.
Because within their own personal self, they don't have anywhere to go.
Hmm.
They don't.
Yeah. It's
They have lived and relied so much on these belief systems that, as you're saying, rooted in colonialist thought or religious
for
thought,
example. Yeah.
whatever. Yeah, for example. So that letting go terrifies them, because they don't know what to replace it with. They
Yeah.
don't know what they can do and comfortably move into because everybody's convinced that to get a gain you have to lose,
Someone
and
has
that's not
to.
necessarily true.
Yeah.
You can still gain it by transforming something. You don't have to necessarily lose it. You just transform the energy.
Hmm.
Which we just went through that whole warrior's wheel, and it's all about
Yeah.
transforming.
Yeah.
Change your clarity away from my belief systems are rooted in whatever it was I was invested in over all
Yeah.
these years to no, my clarity is going to be what I think, what my
Hmm.
intuition tells me, what my intuitive sense of self is. I'm going to start following my heart and let go of the mind for a change.
Yeah. And I think that what sprung to mind while we were talking about that is that you'll notice that the people who really are promoting the way of greed, shall we say, they can't get enough. The authoritarians, they can't get enough. You can bow down to them until you're blue in the face and give them everything they ask for, and there always has to be more. Elon Musk now wants a $1 trillion paycheck. I mean, what the, or $1 billion paycheck, or I mean, what the fuck? I mean, he can't possibly use it anymore. You know, it's more than.
Yeah, I mean, there again, they're trying to fill an empty hole in
Mhm.
their soul with
The
something that is never going to fill it up.
right. External shit can't do
Never
it.
going to fill it up. No, it's just, I mean, that's really that's the myth you've been talking about.
Yeah.
That's the big myth, that I can fill up this soul, this emptiness I feel in me if I just get me a Mar-a-Lago face.
Yeah.
Life will be good. Just spread the lips out and
Right. Get the needles out, honey.
yeah, give me some Botox and it's all going to be good.
Right.
Yeah. I saw an interview with a shaman in Africa. This guy was talking to him, and the shaman says, "Why do you people live on chemicals?"
I saw that one. I thought that was brilliant. And you know what? How is it that it's so difficult for those people to get a voice? Right? I mean, that was a beautiful interview because when he could say things like, "Why do you live on chemicals?" and "Why do you need a new pair of shoes every month?" It it was an innocent and pure question. It was like, "What are you doing?" And he was so wise. And I mean, so it happened one time on all of social media, and everybody's like, "Well, yeah, that was cute." And now he's gone, and that's exactly the kind of questions we need to be asking ourselves, you
Yeah,
know?
but I think what that is the drip, drip, drip of the higher consciousness coming into the planet.
Oh, that's a good point.
It's I mean, our elders have said forever, we can't just flip a switch. Everybody's going to go crazy.
Uh-huh.
They will literally go mad,
I'd be flipping
and
it.
so yeah, and I subscribe to the deal where the two buzzards are sitting up on the wire or a dead tree, and they're going, if something doesn't die pretty soon, I swear I'm going to kill it. You know, I have I have always had a hard time with patience, but
Uh-huh.
yeah, I think it's I think it's dripping in, man. I think it's slowly moving in that perfect example. Is people, if people can hear things that they've always thought about but never really put a voice to, it
Hmm.
makes it okay for them to put a voice to it. It's like it becomes more of a if you think that somebody else is thinking what you're thinking, you'll express it.
Uh-huh.
If you don't think that they're thinking what you think, because most people are really eat up with, am I ever going to be liked, or how many friends do I have, or the circulation, where the
How
shaman's
well do
going,
I fit
yeah,
in? Yeah.
yeah, how well do I fit in? Man, you have to let go of that. You have to let go of that,
Yeah.
because until all that drip, drip, drip starts becoming a flood, and then everybody's on the same wavelength. And I think that's how it's going to happen.
Yeah. I think I see it happening too. I see more and more awareness. There's more deconstruction. More people are coming around. I hear a lot more what the fuck is going on here than I ever used to 10 years ago,
Absolutely.
and hmm, that's
Well, I
just
think the
really
hundred,
interesting.
they use the hundredth monkey, as an
Uh-huh.
example of that theory that for the people that haven't heard of it, I guess there was some scientific group that went out and studied this tribe of monkeys on an island,
Hmm.
and and then they were, I guess, on another island with another set. And when the set over there learned how to wash their potatoes so they could eat it, all of a
Yeah.
sudden the group over here started washing their potatoes, but there was no direct communication. It's just
Right.
it was obviously through quantum theories, string theory is becoming huge. I mean, more and more people are starting to be willing to talk about that and express it, even in the scientific community, I think.
Hmm.
You know, if something happens over here, it's happening over there too. So,
Yeah.
the more and more that we're allowing ourselves to get comfortable with these alternative thoughts and expressions, the quicker it's going to spread through the collective.
Yes. And so the 100th monkey is that quantity of monkeys that needed to learn it for it to spread generally through the general consciousness. At that point, monkeys didn't have to show each other one on one how to how to do this thing. Now, once it hit a certain level of consciousness in a certain number of monkeys, then suddenly it became part of the entire group's consciousness. And that now we're back to the shift again. And that clarity as an enemy aspect too, because people are so clear on how they think the world is that now that it's all shifting, there's a lot of confusion, which reminds me that one of my notes says it's okay to be confused. This is what one thing we could tell people is that during a huge shift like this, where the deconstruction is occurring and we're nearing the 100th monkey syndrome, that you're actually literally supposed to be confused. So don't let the fear of confusion stop you from diving into a new way of thinking about things, because everybody, all of the big mucky mucks in the universe are waiting for you to get confused, because that confusion is absolutely necessary for you to move over to the next step. So you have to move from clarity
That's a
as an
great
enemy
point.
to a complete lack of clarity in order to return to clarity as an ally.
That's a great point. That's absolutely chaos always springs rebirth,
Uh-huh.
always.
Yeah.
And it's a precursor to rebirth. I mean, it's just it's a universal law,
Mm-hmm.
and I have to remind myself of that every day. I mean, every day, because it's really easy to get caught up and think, oh my God, how are there so many stupid people?
Right?
You know,
How much lower does this bar go?
yeah, we've reached a new low, a new
Right.
low. Wow, I
Right.
thought we'd reached that like months ago.
Yeah.
No,
Doesn't
it's
it
a new
start
low.
going? At what
We,
point is the bottom?
we oh my God. I know. So yeah, it's a hard thing to adapt and adjust to, but I think just everybody's got to kind of set up their own boundaries and make sure they take care of themselves and set themselves up for
Yeah.
uh, dealing with chaos because we're
Yeah.
probably not through it yet.
Yes. And everybody is going to do it in their own individual way, which brings me to note number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Keep what works in your heart and shed the rest. Okay. So that's another thought I've been having, is that how we deconstruct is not by just saying, you know, the hell with uh the economy, the hell, I'm just going to go live in a tree somewhere. um it's that while we deconstruct, we're shedding, you're shucking off the things that are holding us back, right? But we still get to keep some stuff. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. I'm keeping my stereo, my guitars, I'm keeping those, you know just
Yeah,
because
I,
they're
I absolutely
machines.
agree with that.
Yeah.
It's you know, I mean, we glean a lot of safety and security out of being able to have put things around us that we're familiar with, you know.
Hmm.
And for a tourist like me, that sort of environmental stimulation is hugely important.
Uh-huh.
It gives me settles me in, keeps me grounded, and it's if you don't stay grounded, and that's another thing I always were telling us, man, if you can get out on the earth and walk,
Uh-huh.
take your shoes off, man, you know, walk around on the earth, get grounded. If you know how to drop a you know, a tentacle into the center of the earth so that you can release
Yeah.
yourself from all the stuff you're taking in, do that. But staying grounded, I think, and being as close to the earth as you possibly can is going to be hugely important through this deconstruction process.
Yeah, I understand. I learned from a lot of airy fairy people, and I'm a Taurus too, as you know, and they spent so much time talking about staying grounded, and I was like, no, you don't get it. I'm trying to get off the ground. You don't. We're working at cross purposes here. How do I get off the ground? And I understand that you can't get off the ground until you're well tethered to it. But for me, I was just so grounded that I needed to float a bit. In fact, the first time I learned how to like journey in a journey, we were journeying through the stars. And I was that guy who was out there swimming through them and, he's screaming, Yahoo! And going from planet to planet, and they're going like, dude, you need to calm down. you know, now they get back on the ground, fool. So anyway,
I
there's
saw
that.
a really good joke the other day when a cartoon or something, and it's like God's talking to one of his angels, and he says, "I think next time I'll create a planet where the dolphins evolve because these monkeys have really fucked this up."
I love that.
Yeah. So, well, good news, bad news. It's going to probably be chaotic, but let me add to that the story like I told you the other day about when we were at Sundance one year,
Hmm.
and we were supposed to do this particular type of ceremony within the Sundance, and we've been doing this for several years, and every time that we complete this task, something like a dust devil would come through the east gate, or there'd be some dramatic response. And this year, nothing happened. And so my first thought was, well, I screwed this up,
Uh-huh.
And so I went and talked to one of my apprentices, and I said, you know what? Did we do something wrong? I mean, and the grandmothers came in and went, you guys, everything with you's got to be boom and bust. They said, they said maybe the fifth world's going to come in like a summer wind. And I was like, yeah, oh,
Hmm.
okay, well that'd be good.
Yeah, I'd settle for that.
Great idea.
Yeah, that's
So
why we
I
need
kind of
more.
that's kind of what I think is going to happen. I think it's
Yeah,
going to be very soft and very, very
I
beautiful, but it's going to be challenging.
I do too. But I do think that we all need to listen to the grandmothers and give them a lot more respect. They're not just a bunch of old geezers. They really do carry a lot of wisdom, and we're not taking the grandmothers seriously enough at this point. Oh, next episode I'll tell you my
Yeah,
grandmother
I agree
story.
with you. So what?
Next episode I'll tell you my grandmother's story.
Okay. Well, I think that's another thing we need to bring up to everybody is that there are thousands of councils, spirit councils out there that are just waiting to connect with you.
Hmm.
And don't, you know, don't be in fear of it. Don't think you can't do it. This is something that's got to happen over the millennia. It's just there's got to be an increased connecting link in between. Because when I first started channeling, I thought this is the goofiest shit I have ever seen,
Uh-huh, yeah.
and I sure
Say
can't
what?
do it. And and then when I finally dropped into the space and it
Yeah,
just started coming through me, I thought, well, God, this is really actually kind of easy. And
right.
and I've been doing it for 20 years, so
Uh-huh.
it's now it's like getting on a bicycle.
Yeah.
It's just like, yeah, okay, well, let's just go.
Yep.
But
Step out of the way and let it go.
everybody's I think everyone's going to have those kind of counsels to advise them through this tumultuous time. So it's
Hmm.
if you have the abilities or the connections to be able to take advantage of that, they're waiting on you. They'd love to talk to you.
Yep. Well, let's let's wish everybody good travels and great relationships as they move into the higher level of consciousness that we're all waiting, or actually, we're not waiting, we're developing within ourselves. I think this whole shift is uh, allowing people to just come together within their own souls, in their own hearts, and then there will be a coming out, which will allow bi-directional transfer of energy and wisdom. So I encourage everyone
Oh,
to take whatever steps they need to take to open that up and just listen
absolutely. And meditate.
and meditate. So we are once again at the end of our episode. I love you, sir. You are a good friend. And I am going to wish everybody a great, until we see you again, a great period until we see you again. And thank you all for coming and listening. Visit us at earth-ems.org. There will be more and more stuff out there. Every time you come, I will be adding more and more stuff. Come and see it. Bye.
Thank you.